Rising like air, how resilience rewrites your story. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred pause where high achieving Black women unlearn survival and rediscover softness, rest, and radical joy. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. And today I'm sharing insights from an extraordinary conversation I had with Amy Perkins, a woman whose wisdom on resilience, mindset mastery, and the pursuit of happiness is nothing short of transformative. Amy Perkins is making the world a better place by teaching us that our greatest power lies not in the grind, but in our ability to rise, reset, and reclaim joy on our own terms. So let's dive in. Here's the thing nobody tells you about survival mode: it's supposed to be temporary. But for so many of us, especially Black women who've been taught to carry the world on our shoulders, survival becomes our identity. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. We say yes when we mean no. We grind until our bones ache, and then we grind some more because rest feels like betrayal. But what if I told you that the most radical thing you could do right now is stop surviving and start living? What if softness, not strength, is the real revolution? During my interview with Amy Perkins, she shared three truths that hit me like a freight train, and I want to share them with you today. First, embrace failures as teachers. Let setbacks mold you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself instead of defining your path, because resilience turns obstacles into power. Second, master your mind and emotions. Stay focused, control your actions with confidence in who you are, because your mindset dictates happiness and outcomes, and knowledge and research fuel this control. Third, pursue happiness through resilience. Life's tests are planned, but your free will and unshakable self trust lead to joy. Prioritize peace, research boldly, and rise no matter what. Let's start with the first truth: embracing failures as teachers. We live in a world that punishes failure, especially for Black women. We're expected to be flawless, tireless, unbreakable. But here's the reality: failure is not the enemy. Failure is the curriculum. It's the teacher who shows up uninvited, sits down at your table, and refuses to leave until you learn the lesson. And the lesson is always the same: you are not defined by what breaks you, you are defined by how you rise. Consider this fact: Black women professionals recently faced 200,000 federal layoffs amid a 20% hiring drop and unemployment rising to 7.5%. That's not just a statistic, that's a crisis. That's thousands of women who were told they weren't enough, weren't needed, weren't valued. But here's what's happening: instead of despair, they're pivoting to entrepreneurship. They're harnessing AI for wealth building. They're turning rejection into reinvention. That's resilience. That's rising like air. And speaking of rising, let me tell you about Corinne White. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you know her voice. Superwoman was the anthem, the soundtrack to every Black woman who ever felt like she had to do it all. But what you might not know is that Karen White walked away from fame for 18 years. She stepped off the stage, out of the spotlight, and into silence. Why? Because the music industry, especially for Black women, was brutal. Exploitation, survival threats, betrayals that cut deep, the kind of pain that makes you question whether the stage is worth the scars. She chose peace over stardom. She chose herself over the grind. And after 18 years, she came back. Not broken, not diminished, stronger, wiser, on her own terms. She researched her worth, regained emotional control, and returned with a message: failures don't dictate endings. Your mindset does, happiness does. Karen White rose to fame young, faced industry betrayals that mirrored personal traumas like family and relationship hurts. But like air, she rose by owning her narrative. She delivered timeless anthems that empowered generations, then staged a fearless comeback, owning her superwoman legacy unapologetically. She redefined Black women's success in entertainment by modeling mental mastery and resilience, inspiring entrepreneurs to reject emotional chaos for focused joy. That's the power of embracing failure as a teacher. Now, let's talk about the second truth Amy Perkins shared: mastering your mind and emotions. This is where the real work happens. Because here's the thing: you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can't control the layoffs, the betrayals, the closed doors, but you can control your mindset. You can control your focus. You can control your actions. And when you do, you take your power back. Let me introduce you to Rebecca, one of Africa's most influential Black women tech leaders. Rebecca faced institutional exclusion from capital and networks. She was generating revenue, proving her acumen, but she couldn't scale. Why? Because the system wasn't built for her. 80% of Black women owned businesses are self funded. That's not a choice, that's a barrier, that's a gate locked from the outside. But Rebecca didn't let that stop her. She became a vocal advocate. She did deep research into biases. She built strategic networks demanding respect. She bootstrapped with fierce self confidence and shifted investor mindsets. And the outcome: policy changes, doors opened, businesses scaled. Rebecca proved that emotional control and knowledge power can break down gates that were never meant to open for us. She emerged from systemic barriers like limited access, akin to betrayals and isolation, but her focused mindset turned tests into triumphs. She transformed from overlooked innovator to policy influencer, smashing gates for Black women in tech with unyielding clarity. Rebecca reshaped investment landscapes for African and Black women entrepreneurs, highlighting resilience and research as keys to happiness over grind. That's mastery, that's control. That's what happens when you refuse to let bad decisions or systemic failures derail your outcomes. And here's where it gets personal. During my interview with Amy Perkins, we talked about the importance of knowing yourself so deeply that no external chaos can shake you. Because when you know who you are, when you've done the research, when you've affirmed your control over your emotions and actions, you become unshakable. You become the woman who walks into rooms that weren't built for her and demands space. You become the woman who says no without guilt, who sets boundaries without apology, who rests without explanation. That's the soft girl era. That's the shift from doing to being. Now, the third truth: pursue happiness through resilience. Life's tests are planned, but your free will and unshakable self trust lead to joy. This is the part that makes people uncomfortable because we've been taught that happiness is a reward for hard work. That joy comes after the grind. But what if joy is the point? What if happiness isn't something you earn, but something you choose? Let me tell you about Melissa Valdez, the first Afro Latina Boston Celtics host and movement coach. Melissa broke into a male dominated sports entertainment industry. The barriers were stacked against her. The fears were real. The sacrifices were heavy. She navigated highlight reel pressures and real struggles like underrepresentation, rising through self trust despite no script. But she cultivated unbreakable confidence. She protected her energy with focused resilience. She built uplifting communities through bold, research driven moves. And the outcome? She owned her court. She turned isolation into empowerment. Mindset mastery led to barrier breaking success and joy. Melissa didn't wait for permission to be happy. She chose happiness as her scripted outcome. She chose softness as her strength. And in doing so, she pioneered as a trailblazer, coaching movements and hosting with fierce presence that demands space. She uplifts women in sports and media, proving that Black and Latina resilience inspires communal happiness and redefines strength. Here's what Amy Perkins taught me and what I want you to hear today: Happiness is not a destination, it's a practice. It's a daily decision to prioritize peace, to research boldly, to rise no matter what. It's the audacity to say, I deserve joy, and I'm not waiting for the world to give me permission. Because the world won't give you permission. The world will tell you to keep grinding, keep hustling, keep surviving, but you get to choose differently. So here's what I want you to do after listening to this. Audit your mindset daily. Research one truth about your challenges. Affirm your control over your emotions and actions. Take one resilient step, like networking boldly or self funding smarter toward happiness. No excuses, no apologies, no waiting for the perfect moment. Because the perfect moment is now. The perfect moment is when you decide that you are worth the softness, the rest, the joy. And here's how I want you to feel: empowered and unshakable, like fierce queens who own their journey, rising wiser from every test, radiating confident joy, knowing happiness is your scripted outcome, because that's what you are. That's who you've always been. You just forgot for a minute because the world told you to be strong instead of soft, to hustle instead of heal, to survive instead of thrive. But here's the truth that Amy Perkins reminded me of, and that I'm reminding you of today. You are not meant to just survive. You are meant to rise like air, like breath, like the unstoppable force you've always been. You are meant to release the cape, redefine strength, embrace softness, heal in real time, protect peace as a practice, and turn survival into something sacred. Look around you right now. How many women do you know who are exhausted? How many are holding it together with duct tape and prayer? How many have forgotten what joy feels like because they've been too busy keeping everyone else afloat? That woman might be you. And if it is, I need you to hear this. You don't owe the world your exhaustion. You don't owe anyone your burnout. You don't have to earn the right to rest. You already deserve it. The world will keep asking you to be strong. It will keep demanding that you show up, that you carry more, that you sacrifice more. But what if you said no? What if you chose softness? What if you chose yourself? Not selfishly, but sacredly. Not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Because the truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't lead from a place of depletion. You can't rise if you're too exhausted to stand. So here's my challenge to you. Starting today, make one decision that prioritizes your peace, one decision that honors your softness, one decision that says, I am worthy of joy and I'm not apologizing for it. Maybe it's saying no to that extra project. Maybe it's setting a boundary with a family member. Maybe it's taking a nap without guilt. Maybe it's simply breathing deeply and reminding yourself that you are enough just as you are. Because here's the thing: the world needs you whole, not broken. The world needs you rested, not exhausted. The world needs you joyful, not surviving. And the only way to get there is to choose yourself every single day with the same fierce commitment you've given to everyone else. So rise, rise like air, rise like breath, rise like the unstoppable, unshakable, undeniable force you've always been. And as you rise, remember this: you are not alone. You are surrounded by women who are choosing softness, who are setting boundaries, who are reclaiming their joy. You are part of a movement, a revolution, a sacred pause that is changing the world one breath at a time. This is your moment. This is your soft girl era. This is your invitation to stop surviving and start living. So take it, own it, live it, and never, ever apologize for choosing yourself, because you are worthy, you are enough, and you are rising.